Welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome back to the show. Well, I guess I call it a show. I don't know if anybody else would. Happy to have you along. We are starting build log number 4 for the AMT Defiant 1/420th scale. And we are making some pretty decent progress. If you remember from build up number 3, we've got the hull closed up, and now we're dealing with a significant number of the gaps that are in this particular kit. The light leaks and light bleeds, and just basically using that as a flashlight, I guess. But we are going to walk through on this build log, getting to at least to the primer stage, if not to the first base coat. One thing I want to accomplish on this is I've got putty on some of the body work, more to sand and so forth on there. But because these raised panel lines are so tight and so fine, I don't think anybody wants a whole bunch of coats of primer on this. I would probably not put more than one base coat of primer and then a finish coat of primer on this, and then go to base coat if you want any of those panel lines to show up. So I don't have any primer on the bottom. I have one coat on the top, and we're going to be careful with that. And then finally we're going to get a coat of primer on this, get all the sanding and everything finished up, and then we'll go to the base coat. So please come along with me as we go through the body work and the painting of the 1/420th scale Defiant. And if you find anything that's interesting or of value to you, I would appreciate it if you could hit that like button or subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And if you'd like to share this with someone who you think might get some value out of it, that would be greatly appreciated. So come along with me. Let's go build a model of this AMT 1/420th Defiant. We'll see you in a minute. All right, hey, making progress on the Defiant, and I think that my first round of body work is done. You can see here that I still haven't put any primer on the bottom of this. That's going to be next. But the first round of body work is done. All of this sanding that took place through there, and then the big key is that even after all the body work and sanding was done, then we came to the challenge of light bleed. Yeah, so what you're seeing here is just 3 quick photos in the dark with the hull sealed up, and it's still showing you what the light bleed is coming through on those seams. Just about virtually everywhere. So there was a lot of work to do from the bodywork perspective. And so what I've got here, what you're seeing here is just thinned down pure artist pigment, pure black from Folk Art. And this is heavy bodied. It's thick. It is thick paint. But what I did was went ahead and thinned that with my homemade thinner, which is about 30% denatured alcohol, 70% distilled water, and then in addition a little bit of Tamiya's retarder, just to slow that drying time down a little bit. But that mix, it's really quite thin, probably 5 or 6 to 1, but the black still comes through, and quite honestly I can see that there's still going to be some challenges with it. So what you're seeing here is a photo of that interior lit up with the black paint over it, and you can still see that the light is coming through. So that plastic was really thin with all of that sanding I had done at this point. So with a coat of primer over that, though, you can see we were able to get that taken care of. Woo! But I'm ready to put my first coat of primer on here, and then I'm sure we'll see where we've got much further to go. some of the things like right here is still a pretty massive step, especially on one of them. Must be this one here's got a huge step back there. I am not going to spend more time filling that and filling it and filling it. I'm more interested in what you're going to see, what you're going to be these side seams. So we've got some more sanding to do here, a little bit more photo etch to apply, but I'm pretty excited with where this has come. I've also taken my microline fine line masking fluid pen, fine tip, and covered each of the lights with a few droplets of that, and hopefully we're gonna have the ability to paint over these lights and then peel that back. I've done like the front of the guns and all of the anti-collision lights, etc., just as a very, very fine mask, and I think that works pretty nice from what I've seen so far. So I've got a little bit more photo etch to put on this, and then we'll go put its first coat of primer on there, and we'll see what we come up with. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, hey, welcome back. At least I'm back because of this long trip on the bodywork and filler of the USS Defiant. What we have here is the base color has been put down, and a couple of coats of lacquer clear have been put over the base coat in preparation for the decals. I will say this, the game never have I ever put a finger down. All fingers would be down for the amount of time spent in sanding and filling and sanding and filling and primering and filling and sanding. And unfortunately it gets to the point with these raised panel lines that all of your panel lines disappear. Fortunately, I think with the HDA ModelWorks decals, it's going to bring a lot of detail back up, and hopefully make it at least get us halfway there on some of this stuff. And then after the decals are on, we'll have so the decals are going to be all of these, for instance, you know, all of these units here, just throughout. That's a big decal, that's a big decal, we're all familiar with it. So what I've got the original decal set, and then the HDA replacement set. The originals here are absolutely yellowed and so forth, so I am going to scan this here just so I've got it just in case, but that's a pretty nice replacement set. The thing is with these kits, you have to trim very, very closely to this because it doesn't have a die cut on the decal, so you've got to trim very closely on all this, and we'll see how the carrier film reacts with that stuff. So that is the replacement set there. Again, here's the other set for the HDA ModelWorks, and you know, so all of these decals will go in. The ones I'm concerned about, for instance, are these red ones here that go around the full nacelles. Those are always traditionally very challenging at that point. The rest of these on the bottom, like some of these decals going over photo etch, I'm not sure. And again, this has got so much paint on it that maybe it doesn't matter anyways. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with some of these decals here in this front cutout area, because right now that is a super plain Jane. So I'm hoping that the decals will bring back some of the detail to this model kit. Now, the actual instructions do have, and I've not done any of the detail painting on this, so but the actual instructions do have fairly nice call out on things like that interior trench up here, things like I'm not sure what's going on here with part number 27, it doesn't matter, but it's got a nice color call out for all of the detail painting that's going to go along, and I think we've got decals for a lot of different things. But let me go to work on this, and when we come back we'll have some decals started. We'll talk to you in a bit. Alright, hey, welcome back to the Defiant and to the decaling of the kit. What I have done is I've used the HDA Model Works aftermarket kit right here, the HDA Model Works placement guide for the decal set for the USS Defiant from DS9 and Star Trek First Contact 1/420th scale kit, 2015 HDA Model Works division of Prima Publishing Services, all rights under copyright reserve. So what this walks you through are all of the core base decals for the top and the bottom. And the bottom's done, but I'm not going to flip this over. We'll look at that in a bit. And the top, as far as decals, is almost done. I've got a couple of pieces here that I have not finished up. But essentially, and I'm not going to actually put a couple of pieces on, but there are just one or two little pieces here that caused some confusion. So just take your time, and once you do the process of elimination, you can definitely get there. I will give kudos to these decals. These are the finest decals I've ever used from an aftermarket. They are not die cut, which means you have to cut very close to the lines to get them to not have carrier film. But even where you do, where you should see massive carrier film, you don't. So for instance, I really want to be careful here. Like this is all one piece, or these are two pieces here and here, and there's no carrier film on there that you can see. Even on this high gloss, you can't hardly see any carrier film, and once I put a dull coat over that, you just won't see it. Secondly, the way that these lay down, a little bit of water, they start to separate almost immediately. And then where you put them, and again, this has got a super high gloss finish on it, where you put those decals, you can move them around for as long as you need to, and they'll slide, especially over this glossy surface, like I've said, but they will conform to the corners, like around here. They conformed with just a little bit of microsol, and they were in. And once you had them down, they were fantastic. One of the things I did here for these lights up here is I just took a hole punch and punched that hole right where it is as it before I put water on it, and that worked out perfectly for those. So and then like on these nacelles where you have whatever these are, grills I'm going to call them, on the nacelles, those grills, just cut them. They're in white. You just cut them out before you put it on, and you're off running. That is the one thing I'm not going to put on here. Like here, for instance, is this cover for this, and I don't like the fact that that's the same color. Although that's kind of what I did here with the little 1/1000 scale Defiant I did about 4 or 5 years ago. You can see that the grills are the same color, but I am going to use this AK Models pale burnt metal, and it's kind of got a bronzish goldish tint, but that pale gold or pale burnt metal, I'm going to brush over areas like the grills here and here, any of the grills there. In the back here are some additional grills, and maybe I've got some other AK metals, extreme metal AK, to go over some other things, but we'll get there when it comes to the detail painting. But from a decal perspective, I just have to add that these went down so nice, and if they didn't go down in a spot, just a little bit of microsol, and they laid out really nice. Wrinkles came out, and off you go. So we are really getting progress on this now. The next piece is to, once I've got just a couple of final decals done, is to go to the decals that are the marking decals, and that's got all your registries and all these reds. And these are also from HDA Model Works, so I'm hoping that I've got the same kind of experience with those that I had with the with all of the coloration. The nice thing about this is that when I did my 1/1000 scale, I taped all of that off and painted that, and it was nice because you had all those recessed lines that you could do so. Still pretty challenging, but I was able to get it done. So I didn't have to do this for this model. The decals that come with this have enough variation in color between this green here, that blue, this dark blue, this light blue here. They got enough variation, of course, the tans and then the yellows up here. They've got enough variation in color that I don't think you really have to worry about that at all. One area where I did definitely not get this correct is on the side here. You can see this area right here. I got this one too far down, and therefore that should meet up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is match that color with some paint and tape that section off and just spray that in. Or I did scan these decals, and I might just print one of those and then cut them to the right width and length and just decal over that. I'm not sure yet. That's a lot of decal paper to waste for one little section that I could paint over that. But really excited with the way that these turned out. I've got some microsol to do overnight and let them sink in one more time, but wherever I've used the microsol, I mean, it's less like these have been painted on for the most part. But and then as far as the high contrast on these, it is pretty contrasty, but I think once a dull coat goes on this, that should make a big difference. And also not only the dull coat, but then I'm also going to spray this entire thing with that iridescent blue, which I think will tone some of that contrast down a little bit. All right, fantastic. Jerry at HDA Model Works, I've never met you, but you're my brother from another mother tonight because of the way that these decals went on, and I'm looking forward to doing the markings. And when we come back, we'll have those markings put in place. All right, we'll talk to you in a bit. Thanks. Okay, welcome back to the Defiant. We have been picking at this for a bit, and we're getting pretty close to being able to mount this onto its stand. I've got most of the detail painting done. The decals went on absolutely fantastic, and now I'm just doing touch-ups here and there and adding different decals. All the decals I think are done. I've got this batch here left of these red marks, but I think I've put enough on there. There's not a tremendous amount that go on here. I might do a little something creative and put one each right there and there, and then call it good, or maybe 3 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but that's okay. The decals have gone on absolutely fantastic, and all of the metal here, you see, I've actually moved to this AK Extreme metal. This is pale burnt metal, and what a fantastic set of paints are. I sprayed, for instance, I sprayed that onto this piece here, and it just beautiful the way that it sprays. So I'm looking forward to actually doing some bare metal finishes with that. I've got the polished aluminum, I've got the chrome, I've got the flat aluminum. So really gonna be excited about getting back to that at some stage. I've picked up at most of the lights as far as they've been undercover for quite some time. This has had a clear coat so that these decals sit. Final couple of pieces here. After I do a dull coat, I've got the pieces of black photo etch that will connect this gray or this silver, and again that's that sprayed Brent silver, just gorgeous. We'll connect that to this outside wall, and they're different lengths, and that should look really nice. And then I have to install the Bassard collectors, and those get brass inserts over the top of them. Like I said, these have had, and I'm going to keep them on there for a little bit, but they've got a liquid mask over them, and they still light up amazingly. And again, those are painted with that pale burnt metal. These red stripes went on just so smooth. I'm really kind of amazed that they went on that nicely. The decals from HDA Model Works, I cannot recommend them high enough. They're absolutely an absolute dynamite set right there. The back just did a little more work. That's with just giving some character back there, but that's pretty well done. And I think by the time I get a gloss or a flat coat on this, take all this gloss away, it's going to be pretty well locked up. So I think that's the next step, is to do the gloss coat, flat coat rather, and then once the flat coat is done, put my little final photo etch details, put the Bussard collectors on, and put that onto the base. So yeah, a long time coming. I'm really liking the look up here with just some different oranges and so forth, and I might do a little more with that, but we'll have to see. And for the most part, this is just getting wrapped up, and once we're there, we're there. So I'll be back with you with this flat coated, and then we will we'll go after it from there. Thanks.
So I'm sorry I didn't film putting this onto the base, but it's had its flat coat and it's had a coat of the iridescent blue. The base here is just a soap dish that I turned upside down, and it worked great. Or a big miscellaneous dish in a bathroom. It's just resin, white resin. And then just drilled down through it and ran my electrical, and off you go. So here's some higher resolution photos though in the dark of some of those pieces, like the photo etch over the impulse engines. And then I wanted to show you here is definitely the nice shot of the landing bay or hangar bay, the main hangar bay in the center, a shot of the underneath side there. And I think the next shot is going to give us a little better shot of the two side hangar bays, which those were I'm not super thrilled with. First time through that, I don't know if I would bother. I might just put the doors over it. You can see there on the left hand side that that is it looks okay, but it definitely could look better. And we're going to go now into the reveal, and we'll walk through some photos in the or some video in daylight with the lights off, and daylight with the lights on, and then in the nighttime with the lights on, and that'll bring us to the conclusion. So we'll be with you in a minute. Alright, so these are just some passes of the USS Defiant, and I'm just going to point out some highlights here of what I really think turned out fantastic on this. The first thing is that base. Again, that's just a soap dish from the home store. Turned it upside down, drilled a hole for the switch and a hole for the support beam, and it all fits underneath there. Secondly, that patch, which I showed you at the introduction, I think it looks cool. I think it's a neat addition to just that stark white base, and that white base is really heavy, so it gives you more than enough support on this. I did paint, you can see there the back of the warp drive engines. That is painted a different color. That's a slate gray. And here from the front you can see that the Bussard collectors have had their photo etch put over the front of it. That turned out really nice, along with the silver, or actually the pale burnt metal, around those two triangular portions on the front of the front of the saucer section, for lack of a better phrase. And that, I think, adds a little bit of life, adds a little bit of interest to the finish. The finish on this, once I got a flat coat on that polished concrete, it just became concrete. And it's a little bit of a warm beige, but actually for my eye, I am just really, really thrilled with the way that turned out. Specifically under the color of the color that was added with that iridescent blue paint. And again, that's an interference color, if you will. And it only shimmers in certain lights, and you only pick it up in certain arenas. If you put a gloss coat over it, it does pick it up a little more, but it didn't. I really like the look of the warp drive engines when these lights are off. You can see quite a bit of the detail in there, and of course you can see the detail in the exhaust for the impulse engines, and I think I'm very pleased with the way that turned out. Also, coming up along the starboard side, remember I mentioned that the decals I had screwed up, and so there was a large gap showing between those two. So I was able to actually hit almost the right tone of paint, and paint that in, and then again putting that interference color over it really blended it in quite nicely. And I think now you can see some of the detail on those warp drive engines when they're lit up. Again, just really dynamite. We do have the lights on now, and you can see the lights flashing for the guns. And this was done via an Arduino Nano, which is powered by a 5-volt cell phone adapter or cell phone charger. That charges, or that powers this entire model. All of the interior lighting, all of the flashing navigation lights, all of the flashing anti-collision strobes, and even all of the guns, which there are 4 of those, and you can see those flash on and off occasionally in a different pattern. But being able to power all of that, I was able to finally figure that out via the use of transistors and some power boosting that I think just really turned out just amazing in my eye. Also, you can't see it at this angle, but you can see the reflections that the blinking navigation lights turned out great. And here is a great shot of those impulse engines, the way that they, or intakes, whatever they are. That photo etch detail is absolutely superb. It was easy to put on. It was easy to use those resin parts and light those with a red light underneath, and you can see that in the earlier build series of how that turned out. Now we're in the complete darkness with the lights out here, except for one highlight just to pick up the hull color as you go by. You can't do it in the total dark. You lose such detail, but you can see where I've got microcrystal clear in the windows, whatever they are, up front in that torpedo hatch. You can see the front deflector dish turned out really nice. And in a minute, if we can get to it, I'd like you to watch out for the way that the registry light lights up the very front registry. Again, I didn't do one on the bridge. I just painted the bridge with a nice bronze color, so it stands out from the rest of the hull color. And for my eye, in conjunction with the details, that looks really dynamite. I think as you come across here is where you're going to see the that light that's lighting up the deflector. I'm sorry, lighting up the registry on the nose, and I'm just thrilled with the way that turned out. You can see the nice copper lines, and you can see those blue intakes for the warp coils at that stage. More and more, I'm really liking the way that those orange lights and the solid white lights up near the bridge have turned out. They are not overly bright, and that was one of the goals of this particular build project, was to make sure that those lights just aren't totally blinding. And I don't have any photos, unfortunately, of the windows underneath, but those have been fairly diffused. And again, I think it was one of my heroes, Lou, who, or maybe it was Simon Merckx, you know, who said, look, if you light these things up to where that light is just blaring out of it, imagine being the person in that room where you would be, you know, blinded with, you know, 5,000 watt bulbs in there, and you wouldn't be able to see a thing. So that is one of the goals that I've been working on, is getting this light much more subdued. And much more believable. And also, I just love these warp cores now, the way that turned out. Adding those little blue lights in behind the crevices on that that resin detail turned out spectacularly. I could not be happier with the light kit, the resin kit. I'm sorry, not the light kit, but the lighting, the resin kit, and then the photo etch details that made all this come together. Those details in combination with what you're seeing there on the impulse engines, I think give this an incredible scale look. I did not do any weathering on this, and I guess my claim is that I'm hoping that people would believe that this would be a new delivered ship coming right out of the Antares shipyards. So, for what it's worth. And then here is a shot of the twins. The little 1/1000 scale from Polar Lights is actually a superior kit. It goes together nicer. It doesn't have nearly the light bleed. It doesn't have the gaps, and it's got those beautiful recessed panel lines. that you didn't lose all that detail like I did on the larger 1420 scale AMT model. So yeah, that's going to about wrap up the passes on this thing. It was a fantastic, frustrating build, but a lot of fun and a lot of problem solving. And I would encourage anybody, if you've got a few builds under your belt, go ahead and build this. And again, that green strawberry and the HDA Model Works are truly a need. So we'll see you in a minute. Thanks.
All right, hey, welcome to the finale of the USS Defiant. We are finishing up this build. It's been an absolute challenge, joy, exercising great satisfaction, and all of that to get to this point. I think you see some of the video so far. You've seen some of the video of the reveal, and what a nice companion piece to the little 1/1000 scale. This one here from Polar Lights. The Polar Lights is a significantly better kit. I wish that they would do that 1/1000 scale. You take the drawings and the molds and blow them up to the 1/420th scale. This kit is a total mess as far as detail and fit, light leaks and so forth. I like to think I did a pretty nice job in all the light leaks, but I did lose almost 100% of the detail from any type of panel line shown in any shape, fashion, or form. That's all right. The decals from HDA Model Works, absolutely top-notch, top-end, super superb, whatever you want to call them. They just really got the job done. And then the green strawberry resin kit and photo etch, also absolutely spectacular to bring some detail out on this. This detail got so bad with the amounts of coatings of primer and paint, etc. At one point I really considered just cutting this thing in half longitudinally and painting it gold and putting it on a wall somewhere, just because there was virtually no detail left. We'll talk about, I've talked about all of the accoutrements that went with this, and I'll put this into the video. But if you're going to build this model, have fun and go slow, and definitely get the aftermarket kits for it. Both the HDA Model Works decals for the paint job, if you will, and definitely for the markings, the red striping, and the registries. It was certainly well worth it in that regard. No regrets to this whatsoever. Tried out some new AK Metals paints. They're absolutely superb on things like these vents and so forth, and I couldn't be happier. Finally, this concrete paint, this wet polished concrete they call it. Before you put a flat coat on it, it looks a little rough, but as soon as you get a flat coat on it, it is right in line with what I wanted. And then finally capping that with a coat of that iridescent blue, the shimmering iridescent blue that it gives it just a sheen here and there. But again, you're seeing the concrete for the most part until you get it in a different light, and then you see the different color. So anyway, this has been the Sloppy Modeler with the Defiant, AMT Defiant 1/420th scale kit. We definitely appreciate you coming along on this journey. I'm starting the next one already, and you'll see an introduction video come out pretty quickly for that. But on the other hand, this one is done, ready to be put to bed, and we'll talk about some of the pieces. I've talked about some of the pieces before, but we'll talk about the next job. If you do like what you see, I really appreciate your subscriptions, your likes. I think we're honing in on almost 800 subscribers, which is just kind of amazing to me, very exciting, and very gratifying that you would spend your time with me. Of course, you could do anything else in the world, and many of you are, but that you would watch the video that we produce is really something special. All right, again, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next build. Thanks.
Yeah, so just a few quick high-resolution photos here of the Defiant in its finished form. Again, I'm very, very pleased with all of the struggles, everything it took to bring this to fruition. And some things look really nice, and other things I still need a significant amount of work on. Fine detail painting by brush is not my standpoint. Fine detail anything is not my standpoint, but the way that this turned out, I am very excited about it, very pleased. It's going to take a really nice spot in my collection. And again, just hope you enjoy the stills, and you know, you can see some of the areas where obviously it can use some more work, but from the Bussard collectors to the impulse engines to the whole presentation, I'm very pleased, and we hope we'll see you again soon. Thank you.